Well, good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Speaking of Zane. Wow, this is the longest stretch since we started this. When did we start this? August of 2018. Been a while. This is the 263rd edition of Speaking of Zane. This has been the longest gap we've had between Speaking of Zanes. I think we did one the week before Reach Across America. That was on what, the 17th, 16th, 17th. I went to England. We did not do one that Sunday, so it would have been that week before. So been a little bit since we had a Speaking of Zane episode. It just didn't work out. I had this idea that maybe while I was in the UK, I'd be able to do one or maybe record one and then air it, and it just never worked out. We were so busy, and it's just when you're out of your element and your routine and everything, it was a little difficult to try to orchestrate. But I am back home, as you can see. 3 weeks is a long time to be away. It's been quite a while since I've been away from the house for that long. Now, Lori has been gone since September, so that's a long time. But 3 weeks, wow, I was really anxious to get back in the routine of things. And I'm still a working guy. I'm certainly in my final decade of work, but I have a lot to accomplish yet. So I had to get back to the grind here, which I'll do first thing tomorrow. I did work while I was over there. We have a London office, and part of the reason I was over there is because of the program that I am responsible for over there. So I did work when I got there. I did work that first week before Christmas while my colleague Ashley came back to the States for Christmas. I went over and worked that week and then took a week off. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And then got back and worked that final week, at least 3 days, the 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week. Before coming home on Saturday. Man, I'll tell you what, the time change affects me more coming west than it does going east. And I think part of that is when you travel over to the UK, it's 5 hours difference from the East Coast. When you travel over, generally the flights are overnight. So you get to sleep on the way over there for at least for a few hours. About an 8-9 hour flight, and you get to sleep a good bit of it, and you arrive in London in the morning, and then you just go about your day. Your circadian rhythm just kind of catches up pretty quick. But coming back, and I just got back last night. I think I got to the house about midnight Eastern time, which would have been 5 a.m. London time. So, and then, of course, you're awake very early the next morning. Anyway, I find it more difficult to adjust coming back to the States. Like right now, it's my body, thinks it's 1:30 in the morning, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Yeah, 1:30 in the morning. So you get pretty tired about 1:30 in the morning, and I'm getting pretty tired about right now. Um, but it takes a couple of days, as most of you that have traveled know, to get synced back up. But happy to be back and get back in a regular routine with speaking of Zane. Got a few things to catch up on. Lori will be back. Lori will be back on Tuesday. Right now, as things are the way things are planned, she'll be back on Tuesday. So I know she's excited to get back and get back into a regular routine. This whole trip did not, as life presents itself, it did not work out exactly the way that she had hoped it would. Within days of her arriving, she tore her meniscus, which is I found out is in your knee. It's not that thing in the back of your throat. That's there's some other weird name for that. But the meniscus she tore in her knee, which really hampered her mobility significantly. So, in fact, when she gets back, she's got to go see the doc about it. Might have to have some kind of surgery or something. Anyway, so it didn't quite turn out. She achieved her objective of helping my colleague look after her little girl, Raylan, which I know she really appreciated. So, but anyway, I'm excited for Lori to get back so she can fully address the knee issue and then whatever recovery period that she needs there. But she'll be back this week. Okay, well, let's see. Let me see who we've got in there tonight. Do a quick little roll call here. Daryl's in there. Hey, Daryl. I'm going to be in St. Louis, not this coming week, but the following. Kind of a quick trip, in on a Wednesday night, out on a Friday afternoon. So I might not be able to see you, but plenty more of those trips to come. Lori's in there, of course. It's early in the morning, London time. My dad's in there. Hey, Dad. Praying for Dad. Dad, my dad's coming up here to Emory, Emory Hospital. When did he say he's coming up here? End of the month. End of the month. Yeah, he's got an appointment up here, February 1st. So might get to see you on that trip. We'll see how things play out. My buddy Ken's in there. Hey, Ken. I'm going to be down in Orlando, actually, Ken. First full week of February, coming down there for the whole week for work. Let's see. Lori says Rhonda's in there. Hey, Rhonda. Rhonda's a colleague of mine that I've known since 1999, and she has paid a couple of visits to Georgia National Cemetery over the last few weeks to honor Zane and place some flowers out there. Just a fantastic young woman. So Rhonda, if you're in there, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Rhonda's got a son who is a new Coast Guardsman, graduated before Christmas. And I believe it's true that he's based at Cape May, New Jersey, I believe that is. But I know Rhonda and her husband Craig are real proud of him. Let's see. Matt Paula's in there. Hey, Aunt Paula Pittman, how are you? Good to have you in there. All right. Well, let's see. I know we got some others. I don't always know who's watching, but I know we have a lot of people that do watch the replay. So thank you for doing that. It just amazes me people would turn up to listen to this old guy bloviate about things, but hopefully, um, hopefully you see it as helping me therapeutically, because this is therapy for me to talk about Zane and share about Zane and other matters that we always discuss. But anyway, good to have you all in here for sure. Had a lot of birthdays in the month of December. We talked about that, but since we last met as a group, we've had some birthdays come and go, and I may miss them all. I'm not that good at these. Lori is really good at the birthdays, but our granddaughter Zaylee, who is Tyler's oldest, had a birthday. She is the same age as Everett. They were born within weeks of each other. Just a beautiful young lady. She's only, what is she, Lori? 7, I believe. So she's not a woman, but and then, of course, Tyler's birthday is in December. December 21st is when Tyler was born in 1985, when Lori and I were stationed in the UK. And my mom's birthday, Bonnie, December 26th, the day after Christmas. She was born in 1944. And then, of course, our son Zane's birthday was on the 29th. So Tyler's birthday was 4 days before Christmas. Zane's birthday is 4 days after Christmas. And then our little granddaughter Carson, our son Jackson's daughter, she's a New Year's Eve baby, and she just turned 4. And she didn't know that I was home last night. Of course, she was long in bed before I got home. I didn't get home till midnight or so, and didn't get into bed till maybe 2. But so she didn't know I was home, and she sleeps up here in a room on the level that where the master bedroom is. And she didn't know I was home yet. But this morning, about 7 o'clock, which is about when she wakes up, I hear her singing, and she's a singer. She goes to bed singing, she wakes up singing. And the song she was singing this morning was Granddaddy, Granddaddy, Granddaddy. So how do you argue with a little girl that sings about her granddaddy, this guy? So just awesome little girl. But I had just a great time with her today. I was up having my coffee, and she came in and, Granddaddy, you're home. And she says, are you staying now? And I'm like, yes, I'm staying. She says, well, where's my Grammy? Anyway, she was happy to see me. So she had a birthday. And then our son-in-law, Will, who is Abigail's husband, he's in the Navy, it was his birthday this past week as well. And Lori will tell you if I've missed any. We have a lot of birthdays in November, December, January. My cousin Toby in there. There's Katie up in Michigan. There's Kelly Cowall down there in the Ruskin Satellite Beach area. Hey, Kelly. And there's Roy Cupper. Hey, Roy, I want to tell you thank you. Roy sent me a couple of books. I appreciate it. I don't know if I've called it out, but Roy, I did get some reading in on the flight this trip of your colleague Colonel Campbell there. Quite a story of a female A-10 fighter pilot, combat veteran. Great story with lots of cool principles. So thank you, Roy, for that. And I'm enjoying it so far. I got a good bit of it in on the flight home. And thank Jamie, your wife, for the beautiful Christmas card and the sentiment that she wrote in there. Just fantastic. And we appreciate you guys so much. And let's see, Matt Aaron's in there. Hey, Matt. Carrie's in there. Hey, buddy. Carrie, I enjoy reading your comments and your posts and stuff. And hopefully you were following as we were traveling through the UK there. Kelly, I have not read your book. I don't have a hard copy yet. I've got the soft copy, and I started on it, but I've not got through it yet. But I'm looking forward to it. I've recommended it to some others already. So it's on my reading list. Well, you can see all my books over here. Many of these I've read and read at work and read in a book club format with some of my students. But I do have a bunch that I'm kind of backlogged on, but I'm definitely going to get to it. I think, Kelly, I think you were going to, and there was, I think there was a hiccup with the release availability or something, but I can't remember. And then you emailed me a PDF version of it. So, okay, well, let's see. What else have we got going on here? Reach Across America. So we didn't get to talk about that because it was coming up that next week. Well, I ended up going out for Zane's at Georgia National Cemetery, and yeah, and then I know a number of you. Aunt Paula went to Florida National. I know Amy and Barb went to Omaha National. Daryl went to Jefferson Barracks. Um, so we had a lot of Reach Across America participation. And in the month of January, they have to pick all of those wreaths back up, of course. Um, and for Georgia National Cemetery, that the pickup happens to be this coming Saturday, the 13th. And I usually go out there, and it usually only takes a couple hours to get them all picked up at Georgia National. We're not quite as big as Jefferson Barracks, which has hundreds of thousands, but so that is the next thing for that. Let's see. So, well, let me summarize maybe a little bit about our my trip to London. Um, and I tried to post as much as I could about a variety of things along the way, but we had a really good time. We have an apartment there. My work. We have an apartment there, which made it very handy. That's where Lori's been staying, and it's a full apartment, two bedrooms and two baths and a kitchen and a dining room, all that stuff, right? And so it's really comfortable, and but it's right in this, it's in right in central London. So you got to walk everywhere, obviously, or take the bus or take the tube. But I walk to work because it's just less than a mile, and a quarter mile or so to the nearest tube station, and there's a bus stop right in front of the flat. And Lori and I took the bus a couple places, and very convenient. But uh, it's very comfortable there. I was thinking it's a place you could drop me and I could actually live. And that's because we lived there for 5 years, and it's just a very comfortable thing for us by now. But anyway, so had a really good time. It was great to be back there and spend, immerse yourself in it and become a local, so to speak, and adopt the local ways. You have to you do your grocery shopping every couple of days. It's not like we do here in the States. It's just a whole different way to going about business. But it's interesting. Had a good time with it. Lori had the apartment there, the flat, just so decorated for Christmas. It was fantastic to walk in and see what Lori had done to the apartment there. Um, so that was a lot of fun. And um, that first or the second night I was there, Lori had booked us a London Christmas lights tour on one of the open air double decker buses. So we did that. That's a good value. That's about a 2 hour drive around London, and all the famous places with the Christmas lights and everything. We had a good time with that. And then we made our way, took the bus, or did we Uber? We may have Ubered. Yeah, I think we Ubered back and forth a couple times, but we went to Covent Garden to the Christmas market there, had dinner, and that was good. And then we went to the Charles Dickens Museum, which is actually a house where he and his family lived. It was I liked it much more than I was expecting to, but that's walking distance from the flat. But of course, we took the bus because of Lori's knee. But a couple other places I ended up walking on my own. I walked right past the Charles Dickens Museum, just not too far away. So we had a good time there. Spent Christmas in London, and Christmas Eve and Christmas, and Lori had some nice gifts for me, and including a kilt. We ended up going to Scotland, but I didn't wear the kilt. It was too doggone cold. But I am gonna wear the kilt. I did try it on. I'm gonna wear the kilt and get some pictures and everything. Anyway, so after Christmas, so we spent Christmas Eve, Christmas, and Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, there in London, and enjoying a lot of the old TV shows we used to watch and stuff like that. That was kind of fun. But the day after Boxing Day, I guess it would have been the 27th, we picked up a rental car and drove out of London and went up to Cambridge. That was our first stop. And we went to the Imperial War Museum at Duxford. It's been a bucket list item of mine. So many things that I would have done differently um, had I been older and wiser while we were stationed there. But anyway, I finally got to do Duxford, and it was just a fascinating air museum, and had a really good time there. Lori indulged me, allowed me to spend as much time as I wanted to there. And well, you know what, Ken? It's amazing how quickly it comes back to you. Ask Lori. We only had one scary moment when I didn't look right. We almost got clobbered. But then, once I was back in the groove, it was like no time had passed. But anyway, let's see. So yeah, so we did the Duxford Museum, and just a 10 or 15 minute drive up the road from there, we made our way to the Cambridge American Cemetery, which I had never visited, and it was humbling. It's just an amazing tribute to men who were killed in World War II, that didn't make it back to the States and are interned there. And just a wonderful cemetery that they maintain, and just fantastic. And then not too far from there is the little town of Newmarket. Carrie used to live in Newmarket when she was at Mildenhall with us. But we stayed in Newmarket. I stayed there because the Airbnb was really nice, really reasonable there, and it was right on the high street in Newmarket, and there was shops and cafes and pubs and everything walking distance. And Newmarket is kind of central to everything we wanted to do at Cambridge and Bury St. Edmunds and Mildenhall. So Newmarket, it wound up being Newmarket. So we stayed in Newmarket for 3 days, 3 nights, and then took one of the days and went to Bury St. Edmunds, where we had our first house. And we spent about our first year, almost year there. I had got this place before Lori came over, in time for Lori to get there. And we lived in that house. And it was fairly new construction at the time. Now, this was 1985, fairly new construction in Bury. And we would drive back and forth. And for a long time there, we were both on different shifts even. And anyway, we would drive from Bury to Mildenhall, and then eventually, and I think Lori, I think we 84. Yeah. So our first Christmas in 1984 there, our first Christmas was in that house in Bury St. Edmunds. Anyway, so we went and saw the old house, and it's pretty much the same, just 40 years older. And then we had lunch there in Bury, and then we made our way to the little town of Beck Row, which is just outside of Mildenhall, RAF Mildenhall, where we were stationed, and saw our house that we lived most of our time in, the house where Tyler was born. Well, he wasn't born in the house; he was born at Lakenheath. We brought him home to the house, but so we lived in Beck Row there, close enough to the base. We were right across the street from the base, and I'd ride my bicycle to the squadron. That's how close we were. But all of that now, and I assume it's since 9/11, all of that's fenced off all the way out to, you can't get on like you used to anymore. Everything's fenced all the way up to the Bird in Hand. It's outside the gate, but that's where the gate is, at the Bird in Hand. So you can't get to Mickey's Tea Bar. You can't get into any of the place we used to get to. Unless you, and I didn't retire, so I don't have a military ID or anything, so I couldn't get on the base anyway. And some of them you can't get on even unless you have a sponsor, there to get you on. Anyway, but we did go around all the perimeter and everything, and saw the old house and everything. So that was kind of fun. And then drove over to Lakenheath and looked around there, and then back to Newmarket. And then the next day, I had a fun little outing. I was out. I was on a little bit of a mission to visit some old World War II air bases, and I managed to see RAF Rougham. I think it's the way it's pronounced, but it's just outside of Bury St. Edmunds, and they have a little museum there with the old control tower and different things. And then from there, I made my way about 60 miles away, and that's a long way in England on these roads. I drove all the way to RAF Framlingham. Now, Framlingham is it's right it's right where Bentwaters and Woodbridge is. You know, Bentwaters, Woodbridge are adjacent to each other. Neither one are in operation anymore. But Framlingham was a World War II base right next door. And my friend Matt Adcock, his grandfather flew on B-17s in the 390th Bomb Group out of Framlingham. And I know Framlingham has a very nice museum and a restored control tower and all these adjacent buildings. They're not open, but I walked around the property. I put a little video on my Facebook page, but I just wanted to pay tribute to his grandfather. He calls him Paul, and took a little video and everything and shared it with him. But that was so much fun doing that. I tell you what, I could spend an entire year in England and do nothing but hit all of the air bases and control towers and monuments and everything dedicated to the 8th Air Force. It would be so fun to do that. Maybe when I retire, we'll do that. But so did Framingham, Bentwaters, Woodbridge, Rougham, Mildenhall, Lake and Heath. And then we left there on the day before New Year's Eve. We drove from Newmarket and drove all the way to Edinburgh. And it's about 400 miles or so. And we went on the east side of the country, which is the M1 motorway. Now, it's not 4-lane all the way, what they call dual carriageway. It goes down to 2-lane, 4-lane, 2-lane, 4-lane, 2-lane, even with some roundabouts in there. So it's not quite like an interstate. But anyway, we made it all the way to Edinburgh and spent New Year's Eve in Edinburgh and did a little whiskey tasting and outing with a bunch of other people from all over the world. Charlotte and I love to do these food tours. Well, we did kind of one with a little bit of a whiskey tasting with some like whiskey history, like the different Scotch regions and stuff. It's kind of fascinating. And had a really good time with that. And then we were down town Edinburgh where the castle is. You saw my pictures. For New Year's Eve with about 1 million other people. Whew. It was the closest packed with people that I've ever been anywhere, anytime in my entire almost 61 years. But it was good. So glad we went. And then on New Year's Day, we drove up into the Scottish Highlands. We were going to go all the way to Inverness, but it's a good clip, and nothing was open, so we ended up not going all the way. New Year's Day really wasn't much open, but we drove up into the Highlands and got to the snow up in the mountains, and beautiful up there, and turned around and headed back home, and then headed back to where we were staying in Edinburgh, and then drove back to London the day after, so January 2nd. Drove back into central London, and that drive coming back. Now we drove on the west side of the country on the M6 motorway. Now that is dual carriageway the entire length, but it was also 422 miles, and it was raining a lot, which slows you down and hampers visibility, and it really tense, we're driving a little bitty car, a 6-speed, little bitty car, 6-speed on motorway, in the rain and with a lot of traffic around Birmingham. So it was just a long drive. Probably took us 8, almost 9 hours to drive that far and get back into central London and get to the flat, unload everything, and then I had to drive the car back to the rental car place and then walk back to the flat. Anyway, but it was all great, and then that next day I was back in the office with my colleagues and students, and spent this past week in the office all the way through Friday, and then left London about 2 p.m. Yesterday, and here we are. So back to normal this week for me for work. I'll be back in the groove this week, and then first half of next week, then I'm going to St. Louis for a few days, then back home for a week or so, and then to Orlando the first full week of February for a week. Our company has our sales kickoff meeting, so a good amount of the people at our company will be gathering together in Orlando. So anyway, I mentioned going to the Duxford Museum. They had these challenge coins that they had made up for the 50th year of doing air shows there, and I'm not sure what year that was, but anyway, they had these really nice challenge coins there. I picked a couple of these up, but all right. Well, let's see. Hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week. Hat of the week always has something to do with what the heck is going on around here. And I didn't. I did wear sort of a generic ball cap a little bit while I was over there, but I wore a kind of a British hat most of the time. But I got home, and I had waiting for me for my daughter Charlotte, I guess as a Christmas gift. They were on my desk. Was this very nice little Spud? You'll see that's a 737-300 with the old United livery on it, and then this United ball cap that she sent me. And so anyway, she works for United Airlines, so very thoughtful of her. So that is why the United airline is the hat of the week. Okay, well, let's see. What else do we got here? This week in military history. I know we had a number of items I've missed over the last few weeks, but one of those is the anniversary of the United States Space Force. How about that? The Space Force was the first branch of the service added since the Air Force was added in 1947. And the Space Force was added December the 20th, 2019. And there's sort of a division of the Air Force. They share a lot of things, traditions, a lot of different things, kind of like the Navy and the Marines do. But anyway, I haven't known anybody yet from the Space Force, but because they're so new. But anyway, happy birthday, Space Force. Okay, well, let's see. Aunt Cindy's in there. Hey, Aunt Cindy over in Alabama. And I just called out Spud. Good to have you in there, Spud. Good night, Lori. Lori, it's 2 in the morning in London. So, and she's going to be, she's got a busy day, I think, tomorrow, making sure she got all of her stuff packed and all her ducks in a row and everything to come home on Tuesday. Okay, well, let's move on here. Now, the Veteran Cemetery Challenge and the Thank a Vet Challenge, I know that I don't have everything right, but you guys can just get back in the schedule of feeding me your cemetery visits or your veteran thank yous. But I'll tell you what I do know about. So on the Veteran Cemetery Challenge, I know Daryl, I've got Daryl down for 4 visits since we were last together to Jefferson Barracks. I got my dad down for 4 since we were last together. My sister down for 4 since we were last together. I've got Lori down for Cambridge American Cemetery. me for Cambridge American, me for Georgia National, Amy and Barb for Omaha National. Carl and Peggy did Reach Across America at Camdenton, Missouri. My Aunt Paula, I believe, did Florida National down in Bushnell, Florida. And if I add all of those up, I come up with 19 visits since we were together last, which takes our Veteran Cemetery Challenge visits to 1,060 since we started sort of tracking this. So good stuff there. And Kelly says goodbye, Lori. She's got to go too. Kelly, we'll see you later. I got to get back down there. Me and my team want to plan another outing at one or both of the My Warriors Place locations in the month of February. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, Rhonda, that's right, Rhonda. So I need to add, I'll make that 20 visits because I forgot. Actually, Rhonda made 2 visits. So that's 21. So that's 1,062. Thanks, Lori. I forgot about that. I was just talking about Rhonda doing that. Rhonda's got a Coast Guardsman's son now. Let me just add my, there we go. Now I'm up to date. Awesome. All right. And if I go to the Thank a Vet Challenge, this is the one I know that I'm off on, but I'll tell you the ones that I do think that I know about. Matt, my friend Matt Adcock, Thank the Vietnam Vet, posted about that. I had 2 airmen at the pub in Newmarket that I overheard and then struck up a conversation with. Thanked them. 2 others at the airport in Charlotte yesterday. And those are the only ones I've tracked. I know there were some others, but those are the only ones that that I've tracked since we were last together, and that made, well, let's see, how many was that? 32, 2, 4, 5, 7. 2,437. Okay. All right. Well, organizations, we always get to this segment where we talk about anything that's coming up or any activities we've had with the variety of organizations that we know about or aware of or affiliated with, contribute to, participate with. And we've got a bunch of them over the years that all of us have interacted with in some capacity. Reach Across America, My Warriors Place, Till Valhalla, Folds of Honor, the Georgia Run for the Fallen, Running to Honor up in Michigan, Continuing the Mission, Cherokee County Homeless Veterans Organization, just so many different ones. And I like to, if there's anything coming up with any of those that I know about, or you guys have told me, I like to highlight them. And I mentioned My Warriors Place. Going to try to do another outing there mid to late February. Don't quite know when yet, but while it's still relatively cool down there, and we can get some good work done at one or both of the locations. So that'll be fun. I think we might have come up just short, Daryl. We might have come up just short, but I hadn't been tracking the thank yous over the last 3 or so weeks. So I know it was awful close. So that's it on the organizations. Now we did have, we also talk about anytime that we lose a service member, or anytime there's any sort of accident or anything, we like to call that out. And we had a B-1B crash. Yeah, Ken's a little bit ahead of me there. Yeah, we had a B-1B crash. Now, thank God, all 4 were able to eject safely, and I know 3 of them were treated and released right away. 1 is still in the hospital being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. So thank goodness. And you can go search it and you can see the B1 right there on the runway. But don't know all of the details yet. But those I know will be forthcoming. The main thing is that all the crew members are safe. So my heart dropped when I saw that there was a crash, and then when I saw that they both or the four were able to get out, that was a relief. Yeah, I say we. I say we're going to hit the 2,500 thank you mark here any time now. So I think we'll give a little wiggle room there, and I'll do the same. Um, so maybe over the next couple weeks, we let's take a close look at our count, and then we'll go from there. But absolutely worthy cause for sure. Okay, well, I know I'm probably missing a gazillion things here being out, trying to collect my thoughts here. But I'll be back in a regular routine for next Sunday. Speaking of Zane, oh, I did want to say this now, and I know Lori has dropped off, but um, you just don't, when you lose a relative, and especially when you lose a child. Um, Boy, you just don't know how you're going to respond. You don't know how you're going to react. You don't know how do you know it's uncharted territory? Well, even when you lose a second one, it's still uncharted territory because circumstances are different, your reaction are different, you're different. And losing Tyler has been so different from losing Zane in a variety of ways, still the same pain, same hurt, but it's a different experience in a lot of different areas. And it's meant that we've not been able really to sort of get any closure from Tyler by putting him to rest. And I know Lori has really agonized over this, and we had the whole London commitment and all these things that have really, have altered, how we might have approached things anyway. But we have decided that we are going to um, have a ceremony for him. Obviously, he deserves it, and it looking like March the 9th, which is a Saturday. March the 9th, I think, is what it. When Lori gets back this week and gets the ball rolling on things and everything, it'll become more clear. But that's kind of what we're looking at there. But um, I just feel like until we do that, I don't know, just feels open ended. Anyway, so stay tuned for more about that. But all right, folks. Well, I'm getting awful tired here. I think I'm going to turn in. But I'm so glad to be back on Sunday night talking to you guys and gals. And I tell you what, I appreciate you so much. I say this time and time again, but um, you know, when you go through a tragedy, you guys that have gone through, I mean, I'm not, we're not the only ones that have had tragedy in our lives. We're not the only ones that have lost children. And I don't want you ever think that we think our loss is any greater than yours. Um, but um, I don't see a therapist or anything. And certainly, it's the kind of thing where if you were ever going to seek any kind of counseling or guidance, this circumstances would be one where you do that. But I haven't. But this has been an outlet for me that has allowed me to, I think, maintain a little bit of sanity. And I have a full time job. I have a mortgage to pay, so I have to I have to go about my daily life, and this is one of the things that helps me to do that, knowing that I can come together like this and just talk about Zane and things among a group of friends and family. And I appreciate all you guys, for being there and listening to me. You guys are my therapist. This is my therapy, and maybe somewhere along the way we do some good together for our fellow man, especially those who have served, and it will be a good thing. So thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Love every one of you, and we'll look forward to seeing you all again next Sunday night for another edition of Speaking of Zane. All right, gang. I appreciate you. Talk to you later.